All right, cool. You ready now?
Yeah.
All right. What's up, people? Annabelle here, and welcome back to Dreams to Reality podcast. This is episode 49. We are here in the lovely city of Pasadena, California, and today we have a very special guest that I'm excited to introduce to you guys. We have an award-winning actress, an executive producer, and director. She is a thespian, and she's also a Renaissance woman. She does it all. She actually just won the Cannes World Film Festival award for Best Actress in a Short Film. She also won the illustrious award, also for Best Actress, for the short film Addicted to You. Such a great film. I'm really excited to get into that. But please help me welcome the great Sonia Balcazar. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
How's your day been today, Sonia?
It's been busy.
Yeah?
Busy.
What do your day-to-day look like?
It started at 7 this morning. My first meeting was at 8. I had back-to-back meetings, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
I'm exhausted already.
Yeah. 11, I had a marketing presentation. 12, I have to book my lunch. I book lunch.
Yes, so. You were saying that before we hit record on these cameras, how you actually, because we were talking about how we're both busy. I'm like, yes. I'm not that busy. Where I have to, plan ahead my lunch breaks. And
I have to schedule
everything.
it. If I don't schedule it, someone's going to book over that time. And
yeah.
like, no, I need time to take a break, rest, eat, feed myself, nurture myself, and then go back to work. So.
There you go. You always got to take care of yourself first.
Yes.
That's
always.
Awesome. Well, I want to really thank you for taking the time out of your day, your busy day, as it sounds like, to come onto the show to share your story, your insight, your wisdom. I'm really excited to hear it because I didn't really know much or anything about you until, I interviewed Jeff Reyes, who was the cinematographer for Addicted to You, and I interviewed Chris Leva, LV. Shout out to both of the guys, Echoes World and LV, The Vision, who was the director of Addicted to You. And they spoke so highly of you. And like I was telling you when I interviewed Jeff, I hadn't seen the film. I only seen the what do you call it? The trailer. Yeah, yes. I saw the trailer. I was like, oh, this looks really cool. And I didn't understand, like I saw Addicted to You, but I didn't really know what the story was about or much. And then when I interviewed Chris, he actually sent me the full short film and I watched it and immediately I was like, oh, no wonder why they're winning awards. It's you put on such a great performance, and I just want to, I'm sure you got a lot of congratulations, but I want to give you your congratulations for the award.
Thank you so much.
It's well-deserved. You did an amazing job. And now I come to find out that it's actually your story. I didn't know that till a few minutes ago when you just told me. Mm-hmm. I did see that you were, you were part of the writing process, but I didn't know it was your story. So I'm super curious in getting into that. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like you do a lot more than just acting. You do a little bit of everything.
I do.
Yes. So what was the catalyst, to get you into the entertainment industry? And where did you start? Did you start with acting or were you a director, producer first? And they said, you know what, get out of the way. Let me do this. Mm-hmm. Where did it start?
I always wanted to do something in entertainment, I wanted to be an actress.
Okay.
And also
Since
a
when?
dancer. I was a child.
Really?
Since I was a child. Yes. Okay. And so, but I come from my parents are very hardworking parents. They grew up as children, as farm workers working, picking
Really?
Cotton. I think my dad started.
Really?
Yeah, when he was 5 years old.
Oh my God,
my
5?
Mom, yeah.
Picking
my
cotton?
Mom when she was 8.
That's horrible.
And it's just. They grew up poor. And both my family. My mom's from Texas. My dad's from California, from Corcoran, Hanford area.
Okay.
He grew up living in a labor camp in Angiola. So
wow.
He didn't have in a labor camp in a tent until he was 13 years old.
Yeah.
He didn't actually live in a house with walls until he was 13. So
are your parents Hispanic or what's their background?
We're Mexican.
Mexican.
Yeah.
Were they? Are you first generation or were they born out here?
I'm second generation.
Second generation.
They were born here.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. My parents were. My dad's born in California. My mom was born in Texas.
I see.
Yeah, my mom's Tex-Mex.
Oh, there you go.
She's Tejana.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, but they had the similar upbringings, right? So they grew up very poor and they worked really hard. Yeah. So they didn't want a life like that for us. So they worked and they taught us that education is extremely important.
Yeah.
And also good work ethic is extremely important to reaching your goals and to supporting yourself and having a good life or making a better life for yourself. And so each generation, you know, gets stronger and stronger. And that's what my parents did. And they showed that to me. So when I wanted to be an actress, it was just, you know, they couldn't really understand the concept of me wanting to be an artist, because in their world, it's about, you get a practical job.
Yeah.
You get a paycheck, you pay the bills, you buy food, you pay the house payment. It's just those normal things. So luxury or being an artist wasn't even in their minds,
they didn't
right?
even cross their mind.
So they couldn't really comprehend my desire.
Right.
And so I wanted to major in acting when I was graduating from high school, and I was applying to colleges. Yeah. And my dad was like, absolutely not. No, Miha, I don't want you to be a starving artist. I don't want you to be, you know, you're going to struggle if you do that. You're going to struggle. And I don't want that for you. I want something good for you. I want a good life for you. I want you to have a good life. So do something practical. And we were talking about majors. So my dad actually decided my major for me.
Really? Which was?
Business administration, focus on management.
Yeah.
And he decided that for me because my first job in high school when I turned 16, I worked at an amusement park up north in Bay
Which
Area.
one? Give it a shout out.
Paramount.
If it still exists?
It was, yes, it's still there. It was called Paramount's Great America at the time. And I worked in merchandise, but I quickly got promoted to a team lead and then to a supervisor. And so just leadership came natural to me. So I was 16, 17 years old leading people, and I was a kid, but I just understood leadership, and my dad saw that in me. Yeah. And so he saw a lot. He put a lot of pressure on me growing up, but he saw that in me. So he's like, why don't you just major in business, get a focus on management and leadership. And then after you graduate from college, you can do whatever you want, Miha. Right. Pay for yourself to go back to school. Do what you want, but get your degree so that you can have a good life.
He wanted you to have like a foundation.
Yes.
And something to fall back on if your passion didn't work out.
Exactly.
So it's interesting you say that, because most people, when they have a dream or a vision of something that they want to do that's outside of the norm, or that the likelihood of you succeeding that is very minimal, for whatever reason. There's people that want to be musicians. There's people that want to be actors, actresses. They want to be artists. They want to paint things. They want to do sculptures. The artistic expression, that people have within them, they want to give to the world, and they want to get compensated for it. But the likelihood of that happening is very small, and
it depends. It depends, because I don't act for fame and I don't act for money. I act because it serves a purpose for me, and I found that purpose. So it depends on the person and why you're doing it. Everybody has a different purpose.
Yes. I can't remember who the musician was that they asked him, like, if you didn't make all this money and were successful, would you still be writing music? Mm-hmm. And he said, yeah. He's like, absolutely. I don't do it for the money. I do it because I love it, and I have to let it out. So the art form, I understand what you're saying. But what I meant by the likelihood of you succeeding, I mean financially making it, where you can do it for a living and be able to feed yourself, house yourself, have a family, feed your dog, to be successful in a financial way. For a lot of people, it seems unrealistic. And when you have people that you care about, you want to protect them. So to your parents, it might have seemed unrealistic. Like, how are you going to, pursue this and not have something to back you up in case it doesn't work out? So people take it two ways. They're like, oh, they're just hating on me. They don't believe in me. It may not be the case. It may be that they just want you to succeed and have, a good life. Yeah. And, but sometimes people do just hate on you,
Well, I think that was what it was with my dad. And, and it took me a long time to understand that, because when I was in high school and I wanted to major in acting, and, we had these discussions. Like, Mom, he doesn't want to let me. I want to do, Mom. And she's like, well, your dad's right. And so it was this discussion, but it took me some time in my life to grow and develop as a human being, to understand that he was just doing everything out of love and compassion for me. He wants the best for me. And so I look back on it, I'm like, thank God my dad did that, because I have a career that allows me to act, and that's my paycheck, and I'm stable, and I can take time off and do films, and it's a beautiful balance. And had I not had that foundation, I would not have the position I'm in today, which allows me to, I'm a leader in my day career, but I'm also an actress, and the company that I work for, they know I'm an actress, and they appreciate that I'm an artist outside of work, and they give me time, grace, like support.
Yeah.
It's just a beautiful way my life evolved, and it took many, many years to get here.
Yeah.
It took a lot of like rock bottoms.
Yeah.
A lot of rock bottoms, and I'm at the place that I envisioned. I had envisioned having a job one day where they would allow me to be an actor. They would support my career. They would really cheer me on and allow me to be my authentic self. And I kind of manifested that.
That's
and I'm
beautiful.
in that position now, and I feel very blessed.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a different world, a different time, you know, where maybe even 20 years ago, it was odd where a person could have like a career and then still have like another career at the same time. You know, they just had one thing. But now it feels like you almost have to wear multiple hats to, you know, be successful. You have to do all kinds of things. You know, like we're talking like I do. I'm a one-man band.
Yes, you do everything.
Doing everything. And initially, I think it's a great way to learn, you know. Like yourself, your dad saw that you had those leadership skills. And it's funny you mentioned that, because when you see an actress or an actor on film, you don't really know their personality, what they are. They're playing a role, you know, unless they're doing like an autobiography or something. So I didn't really know what your personality was like until I talked with you on the phone. You know, we messaged a little bit on Instagram, but even from the beginning, I could tell that you had kind of more of an A personality, like kind of a leader, a strong personality. Like you were very direct with your questions. You reiterated the questions to make sure I understood and you understood. I was like, okay, so I'm talking to someone that's very good with their communication skills. And I could tell that you were in a leadership position, you know, so I'm sure that those traits work well, both in your, you know, your career in film and also your job that you do, because you're a director. We're saying you're a director in your job, and you're also a director in the film industry, which is very awesome. Yeah. And, you know, another thing that you mentioned about your parents, you know, wanting the best and just working hard. I think we all do that, you know, and we evolve through our generations. That's how we get better, you know, and we are in a, you know, I wanted to give a huge shout out to Johnny Murillo with Chicano Hollywood. You know, he always says that we're in a Chicano Renaissance, you know, where we're finally being recognized for that work ethic and for that desire to want better. You know, first generation Mexican Americans come here from, you know, what's essentially a third world country with nothing but hopes and dreams of a better life for themselves and for their generations to come. And they do what they have to do to survive, you know, whether it's, like you said, picking cotton or doing you know, hard labor for long hours with very minimal pay, but they're doing what it has to take to provide, protect, and have a better life.
Yes.
You know, and every single generation, you want them to improve and get better and get better. And that's how we evolve as a people. And now we're getting an opportunity to share those stories, which leads right into the reason why you're here, which is the film Addicted to You. You know, it's a beautiful story, but it's also a ugly story. You know, it's like the beautiful disaster, because it's a very painful story. And I think the one thing that unites all humans is suffering. You know, we all experience suffering in one way or another, and it has so many valuable lessons. Like you talk about hitting rock bottom. Every time I've evolved as a person, it has come from a rock bottom. It has come from pain and suffering. And in that is where all the wisdom is. And what I learned along this journey of mine as I interview more and more successful people is that you can learn from other people's rock bottoms. You don't have to get there yourself. You know? So I really am curious in hearing, you know, what in your life has led to the success that you're getting now. And I'm also curious in hearing on what's to come, because we are all growing as people, and I'm sure you have more to give. But I'm excited about your career on where it's going. I could tell that you have a lot of talent.
Thank you.
You know, but on top of the talent, you have the work ethic to get you to where you want to be. You know, so how old were you when you finally decided to pursue that acting career after getting your degree in business?
I think I was 26.
Okay.
Because first I graduated from college with my business degree, and then I went into sales. I was in outside sales, and it was for a company. We went through mergers and acquisitions, and ultimately the company ended up being with because of the mergers and acquisitions was a company called R. Donnelly. And there it was pretty outside sales is rough. It's rough. And
so you were doing direct sales?
Yes, I would
door-to-door sales?
Yes, door-to-door. I would go door-to-door, business to business, cold call. I would cold call. People would hang up on me. Yeah. It was rough. It was really rough. But it was
the sales world is a tough world.
It is.
Yeah.
But it was exciting. Yeah. And what I realized is that I had really good human communication skills, human behavior skills. Yeah. So when I would cold call, and this all was a setup. It was all a setup for my acting career, right? So everything has a purpose. And so my dad wanted me to major in business.
Yeah, you got that business degree.
I got that. I'm in outside
sales. You
pulled
pulled all the information needed from there.
There's, I mean, a majority of the people that we worked with were majority men, right? And I was one of very few females in the company in California. Mm-hmm. But it was a tough job, and I was going to do it. I was going to do it. And so it's a lot of cold calling, a lot of hang-ups, a lot of just no's.
Rejection.
So much rejection. But I knew it was a numbers game, and that's what sales taught me. It's a numbers game. So the more you call, the more no's you get, the more yeses you'll potentially get through the numbers, right? The probability gets higher. So if I make 200 calls, right, the probability is better than if I made just 20 calls. So it's the same thing with acting. If I go on 200 auditions, it's more probable I'll get cast than if I just did 20.
Right.
Right. So it all works out, and it all helped me develop thick skin.
Yeah.
And understand that rejection is not about me. It's just about that person not being ready for whatever it is I have to offer, whatever it was I was trying to sell through the sales company.
Yeah.
So it taught me a lot, and I evolved through that. But then I navigated to a point where I built up enough business to be commission only. After 2 years at the company, you're commission only. So if you don't have business to sustain you, you don't get a paycheck. Yeah. So I was commission only after a couple years, and I built enough business.
You get to eat. You don't sell. You
don't get to eat. You don't pay rent. So
yeah.
I built up business, and I had a lot of contracts with clients, and then it was about entertaining. It was about keeping the relationship on good terms, understanding their needs, making sure that we met their needs based on what we offered as a company. So I just learned a lot about human beings, right? Just different people in different positions of power, and used that in acting. But what I did, and this is exactly my dad manifested this in his words. He said, major in business, get a job, and then you can pay for yourself to go back to acting school.
There you go.
And I did that. I did exactly that. So then I think I was around 26 where I was like, you know what? Like, I'm doing good. I'm doing amazing. Check. Like, I did the career thing. I can do this. I know I can do this.
I got my degree.
Yeah. And I got the experience. I built a business. I'm good. So let me do what my heart wants me to do, which is acting. So then I signed up for a 2-year program at the Shelton Studios in San Francisco. And it was I first signed up for a few classes here and there, and then I was like, I'm going to do this. So I did a 2-year program with them.
At this point, when you signed up for the acting school, had you done any acting at all, like audition for something, or did
I did a lot in school. Yeah, I did in school.
Like the drama class and stuff?
Yeah, I was in plays in school, in high school.
I was really good.
I was Rebecca Nurse in The Crucible. That was my first play ever.
Oh, you know what? I was Gaston on a it was what do you call it? A road show.
That's
so
amazing.
We did a little sing along to the.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also did it in college too. So I always stayed connected to the art of acting. I always stayed connected to that, and dancing too. I'm a dancer as well.
Oh, okay.
So I was always dancing.
Can you sing too?
I can't sing. I'm not a triple threat.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I can, but it's not.
It's not good.
I've sang in a show before.
Oh, really?
Because I had to, but not because I wanted to.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, so I took that path, right? But what I did is I paid for myself to go back to school, and when I did that, I was like, I think I could do this. I think I could do this.
Yeah,
I could do this. And I went through, sorry, I forgot about this. In college, I also
acted.
I was acting in college. I was with Chicano Teatro at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, which is where I went to school. And there was a Chicano Teatro team or group or, group of actors. And I worked with them. We wrote our own skits and we performed them. But I also directed high school students, junior high and high school students, in a piece that we wrote and created and performed on stage. So I was directing, actors when I was in college. So I always stayed connected to it.
Yeah.
And then again, when I was working and graduated and I was in sales and I paid for myself to go back to school, there was a point where I had saved up enough money to buy a house, because those are the boxes you check, right? The practical boxes. Yeah. My dad, you have to buy a house, mija,
Yeah.
And
you're following all the rules.
Yeah, and my dad's so old
Checking
school.
all the boxes.
Yeah. I remember when I got, funny story about my dad, when I moved back home after college, and then I was home for 6 months, and then I moved out. Yeah, with a roommate. He was so upset with me. He was so angry for moving out, even though I'm an adult, right? And I have a job. And I think most parents would be like, "Oh, congratulations, this is great. They're moving on." But he was he didn't talk to me. He was so upset. Wow. And he said, "Because you're not moving out to get married. You're not moving out to buy a house. So why are you moving out? Yeah, you're not paying rent here."
It's a protection thing.
Yeah,
a man. I'll speak for men on men's behalf as a man. When we have, our children or our wife, it's we want to protect them and provide for them as long as they're under our wing, and it's very symbolic, when a woman gets married and the father gives away his daughter to the husband. Yeah. It's it's now I'm putting it in your control. And it must feel really awkward, or not awkward, but almost painful. I can see it when fathers cry, because they're I'm now it's this other guy's control of protecting her, and he's giving away that, and it's I don't know, but let's hope that he's gonna treat her right.
Well, he kind of raised me like that, which is, it was interesting the way he raised me. He always put a lot of pressure on me when I was a child, a lot of pressure, and I used to get upset with him because. I didn't understand, why was he putting so much pressure on me? I'm just a kid. Why do I have to get straight A's, right? Okay, I got an A-. Okay, I got a B. And then I would get in trouble. It's why did you get a B? I'm wait, what? Yeah. Most people would be happy with this report card. It wasn't good enough, but he put a lot of pressure on me when I was a kid. But looking back, because he saw what I was capable of. Yeah. Before I saw it. Before I even understood potential. It. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
so he had high standards.
Oh yeah, he did that.
Which it's part of any, we talked before we hit record about mentorship and guidance. And there's people that come into your life at different parts in your life that are there to guide you and to support you and helping you get to the best version of you. And the coaches that have the highest accolades and that all the athletes, love and support are usually assholes. They're not very nice people, and they have super high expectations, and they get angry when you don't, meet those expectations, because they see more in you, and their job is to bring that out. Yeah. So I can understand how some coaches could come across as being very mean and maybe not understanding, but it comes from a place again of caring, of love, but
looking back now, I look at everything that my father did for me, everything my dad did for me, everything that I was upset at when I was a child, everything that I was angry at or just didn't understand, it all makes sense now. And it took me a while to mature, to understand that everything was on a path to my greatness. He was pushing me to be greater. He was protecting me. He was guiding me through all of those things. And so I look back, and every frustration I've ever had, it's always been because he wanted the best for me. And it was the best decision. And I'm so happy that he never gave up and continued to push me in that direction.
Yeah. And I mean, as a kid or a teenager, you kind of want to rebel.
Oh yeah.
Against, whatever that coach or father figure, mother figure, or mentor, whoever that is, because you don't know, you haven't lived life yet. You don't have enough experiences to understand where they're coming from until now. You're an adult woman.
Thank you, Dad. You've lived I talk to him every day.
So you replay back wow, he actually cared. And when you're in it as, a kid and you have all this resentment and anger towards your parents, later on, you're like, man, why the hell was I angry at them? Like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have been, up all night, drinking with some kids, or like not showing up. I'm like, whatever it is that you're mad at is because they wanted better for you and they knew that you're going down a dark path. But now, you get into acting school. Yeah. You graduated from the 2-year program.
Once I finished the 2-year program, I had saved enough money. Again, because my dad checked the boxes, now you need to buy a house, save money, buy a house, buy a condo or townhouse or something. So I had saved money, and I had enough money for a down payment on a townhouse or a condo. And then I talked to a real estate agent, and I was looking around and looking at places. And then I thought to myself, if I buy a house, I'm not going to be able to have the flexibility to be an actor now that I've finished this 2-year program. So it's going to be it's going to be a 15-year commitment, 30-year commitment, which do I really want that, or do I want the freedom of continuing to act, because I had just finished my acting program. So I made the very difficult and tough, risky decision to not buy a house, but quit my job.
Oh, wow.
And use the down payment for the house I was going to buy to support myself so I can act.
Wow.
And so I did that for 2 years. Yeah. That money lasted me 2 years to pay rent.
It's a good amount of money I'd saved.
And so, but I was so afraid to tell my dad.
I can only imagine.
So I didn't tell him.
Does he know now?
He knows now.
Okay.
I didn't tell him. It took him a while to figure it out, but I mean, it didn't take him a while, but it took him I would say a few months to figure out wait a minute, you're spending more time visiting us, because I was a workaholic. I would work all the time. Yeah. And so they didn't see me often. They saw me, but I was always working. So I had more time. I was visiting. I was happier. And he's like, something's different.
Yeah.
Like, how's work?
He would ask you questions like that. Let me figure this out.
And then ultimately he realized I wasn't working anymore. And I told him, I'm good, Dad. I'm okay. Yeah. I got myself covered. I'm okay.
How was the first 2 years as a full-time actress? What did that look like on a day-to-day basis? What were you feeling, and what did it lead to?
It was an incredible time of my life. I was extremely, it was one of the happiest moments in my life, happiest times of my life, because I was free. I had my bills paid. I even had enough to buy health insurance. So I had health insurance. I had everything covered. Yeah. And I was able to take...
You weren't a starving artist.
I was not a starving artist. And I had an agent, and I was auditioning for that was from the Bay Area. So my agent was in San Francisco. Yeah. And I was auditioning for everything. And I wasn't union yet. So I was just, there was tons of non-union work. Yeah. Tons. I was doing student films. I was doing everything and anything. I was auditioning almost multiple times a day. Yeah. Every day of the week. And just doing plays and doing films and indie films and just everything. And I did that for 2 years without having to worry about anything, because I had it covered. And then the money ran out. Okay. And now then I had to go back to work.
Oh my God.
But I was just, in that period of time, I became union. I was cast in a commercial, a Sims video game commercial that was a union commercial. And so they couldn't find a union actor to fit the role. And when I went and auditioned, I fit the role and I got it. So I became union. Oh, wow. So it was great.
So thanks to the Sims commercial.
Thanks to Sims. I think it was Sims 3 or something. I don't know. One of the Sims.
Yeah, there's probably 7 now. Yeah. I don't know. That's crazy. I mean, so it sounds like in order to be an actress or actor and have a successful career, do you have to have some kind of reoccurring role, or is it just you go from gig to gig? What's the best way that someone can make a living from just straight acting?
I think it depends, and it truly depends on the person and why they're doing it. And if you don't know your why, then you're in trouble.
Explain that a little bit more. Because I think most people, I don't know, because I've never pursued an acting career, I can see why most people get into acting is because they see it. They go to the movies, they see someone on stage or on the TV or on, you know, wherever they're at on their phone. They see, and today now we have social media, which is even crazier because you get to see these actors and actresses social media page, which is, you know, them showing off their lifestyle or whatever it is. So it's the wealth and the fame. You know, typically they see like, oh, they're successful, they're making a living doing this. I want to do that. You know, while other people, it might be a different reason, but go a little bit deeper in your philosophy when you mean.
So my philosophy truly is everyone has a different purpose, right? You have to understand or find what your purpose is. And my purpose is telling the stories of the human condition. And I realized that when I was doing theater in San Francisco, I was doing a play, and I talk about this on podcasts a lot because it's important on how I found my purpose. I always wanted to act, and I was acting, and I was doing that full time, right? And I was drawn to very visceral, dramatic roles. Like if you gave me a choice, that's what I would audition for. That's what I would choose in a scene for scene study class. And one night I did a show where I was an alcoholic, and it was me at rock bottom. And a woman at the end of that show came up to me and said, "Thank you, you told my story." And that moment was when I realized that I'm not just drawn to these visceral roles, and I'm not just drawn to these dramatic roles for no reason. I need to tell this story. I need to tell this pain. I need to share this pain and tell people stories. And just like her, where she came up to say, "You told my story." So the art of acting, for me, my purpose is to tell the stories of the human condition, no matter how visceral, no matter how dark, because we need to feel seen. And so that gave me my purpose. And once that became my purpose, then I was confident and complete and sure that no matter what I did in my acting career, I didn't have to get paid and I'd be happy. I didn't have to be famous and I'd be happy. I'm happy. I'm successful already in my mind, in my mindset, because I'm able to tell the stories of the human condition, and nobody can take that away from me.
Yeah, and it shows, you know, when you do act. And I can definitely, you know, like I mentioned on the film Addicted to You, it being your story, I was going to ask you before you came out, like, how did you pull those emotions out? Because anyone watching can connect with the amount of, you know, pain that that person is dealing with. And then you can also connect with all the different characters, even if you're not that person and that's not your life. Like I was talking to like Chris Leba when he was on, like there's like little scenes that like really hit home for me. Like even when like the daughter was like peeking through the door and you could kind of see her looking at her parents fighting, like it made me remember when I would see my parents fighting, I would like peek through the door and stuff and close it. I could hear them like screaming and stuff like that. Yeah. And as a kid, I would like just like go into my bed and like cry and stuff. But they didn't see that stuff, but like those little parts of the film connects to everybody's life, you know, in one way or another. And that's something I want to get into now is, you know, your story, Addicted to You, the film. How did that come to fruition? I've kind of heard the story from Jeff's perspective and from Chris's perspective, but now knowing that this is your story, you storyboarded it, and you know it's your life. I'm very curious and seeing how it came to be.
Well, you were talking earlier about mentors, right? Yeah. And I have a lot of mentors, but I also have a lot of hermanos, people in my life, brothers in my life that have helped me heal and guided me and supported me throughout my entire life. Yes. And I rely heavily on Johnny Murillo is one of my mentors and one of my hermanos. Like I trust him completely, and he's been you know, an inspiration to me as well for everything that he does, but he's also extremely supportive. But I have a lot of mentors that I surround myself with and positive individuals that uplift. And one of my hermanos had invited me to an ayahuasca ceremony. Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things where you don't really know there's something that needs to be healed until you're invited to it. And then it called to me. It has to call to you, and it called to me.
It came out.
Yeah. And I realized I was holding on to a tremendous amount of pain. Mm-hmm. And that pain was from a relationship that I had been in most of my life since I was in high school. And it was a long-term relationship. We were on and off. And in that relationship, we were no longer together, but I had so much pain that I was holding on to, like just in me. And I didn't even know it was there. And I just couldn't get rid of it. I just couldn't like shake it. And when I went to this ayahuasca, I went to a couple, but I went to this ayahuasca ceremony. It helped me see and realize that I needed to, first of all, forgive and let go of all of that pain that I was holding on to.
Yeah.
But also develop a relationship with myself and see myself, love myself, be there for myself and commit to myself, because I had never done that before in my life. And so that moment, actually leading up to that, I had already, like, I was ready. I had an intention, and the intention was, let me get rid of this pain. Let me heal this. Let me release this pain.
Right.
And so when we were done with that ceremony, I sat down with my hermanos, Darius and Shane and Hyman. I told them about the film, and I said, I'm going to make a film. And this is what's going to happen. This is what it's going to do. And I'm like, it's going to start like this, and it's going to go like this, and it's going to go like that. And it all came to me, right? I had already had that vision to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to express my pain and what I went through in a fictional way, because Addicted to You is a fictional telling of the pain that I have, but I went through that pain.
Like, it's not a exact replica of your life story, but it tells your story and the emotions portrayed.
Yes. So
I understand.
I've never been married and I don't have children.
Yeah.
But I'm married in the film and I have a daughter.
Correct.
But the daughter represents me as a child, and the grandparents there represent my parents.
I see.
And so the daughter represents me as a child, looking at. So it has all these layers to it, which is why I had the daughter in there.
Like, who did you name it Addicted to You? And you said it was...
No, David did. Yeah. And I was having a hard time naming it, and David asked me, so do you want to... Because I had storyboarded it, right? Everything that happens there in the film has happened to me in a different way. Yeah. But it has happened, and it did happen in my relationship. The circumstances might have been different, but the pain was there. The things that happened were there in different scenarios. But truly, in storyboarding it, I wanted to be able to express what I went through, because I always felt like people didn't understand what I was going through. And I think this has a lot to do with the generations, addictions that get passed down from generation to generation. My ex was an alcoholic. And so it's hard for people to see, or even a lot of people are in denial, right? Yeah. And it's hard for people to understand, like, if I had a hard time or if I was going through things, it was just like, well, just get over it, Sonia. Just get over it, like it like, that's not that bad, but it was truly just, it was very toxic, and it wasn't healthy. And it was so frustrating because I couldn't get anyone to understand my pain. Yeah. And so I wanted to be able to express that in the film, to say, like, what about my side? What about what about what I went through? The nights that I waited for him, the nights that I was wondering where he disappeared to, the nights where I thought he was dead, calling hospitals and jails and is he alive, calling all his friends and family members, like, it's gone. And so all that pain where, like, people didn't understand, and they were just like, oh, okay, when he came back, but he's back, so what's the big deal, right? And it was like, no, this is not okay. Yeah. This is just not okay. And so because there was just so much of that in our families, his family, my family, and my dad wasn't like that. My dad's extremely, like, reliable, and he's, like I said, never... I say this in the film, if you've seen it. Like, at least my dad came home every night. Yeah, I remember that. But my dad was there. He was always home, always there, right? Yeah. And so the point is that, like, there's so much pain that I wanted to tell from my side of the story, like my side, my pain, my mother's pain, my grandmother's pain, because, my grandfather was an alcoholic too. And so my mom saw that in her father. My mom experienced that as a child, watching her father, and hearing all these stories about, my grandfather or just people in general, it just gets passed down, and it's normal, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I wanted to tell my story, my mom's story, my aunt's story, my grandma's story. Like, what about the women that are here holding it down? What about the women that are here loyal, waiting, like being like devoted wives? And what about them? What about how hard they work and how much they give to the kids and how much they just make it work and they figure it out, and they do that. And I just wanted to tell that story. I had to.
Yeah.
I had to.
Yeah, that's...
So I storyboarded it and then, brought it to David Manzanales and Four Ways Entertainment. And then David's like, do you have a title? I'm like, no, I don't. But it's all about addiction, right?
Yeah.
Codependency,
there's
my
so
addiction
many,
to him, everything. Right?
Yeah, there's so many meanings to the title Addicted to You. And you can look at it through many different aspects. Like, obviously, there's the addiction of the alcohol or the drugs, the substance addiction.
Any
then
addiction.
There's the addiction of the person, even when it's a toxic. There were so many parts of the film that connected with me, because I also went through a very toxic. Well, actually, I was married, and I went through a toxic marriage and relationship, and I connected so much with it. And there was also addiction involved, and same thing with my family. My father was also addicted to alcohol as a kid. He didn't like beat me or anything, and we had a perfect childhood. But there's still trauma that goes
They're just
along.
functioning.
Yeah, and you talked about generational trauma cycles and how it repeats itself. And the thing about relationships, there's a couple things that people don't like to talk about. They don't like to talk about their personal relationships in the public. Like, how's your day going? Great. How's your day going? Great. How's your day going? You don't know that they just fought with their wife last night, or that the husband didn't come home, or the wife's a raging alcoholic, or whatever it is, or their life is dysfunctional. You don't know that, and people don't volunteer this information now. So humans are walking around with all of this pain and suffering and trauma that you can't see visibly, because it's not physical abuse that they're going through. It's psychological and emotional abuse. And sometimes physical abuse is better, because at least people can see, like, damn, you got in a car accident. Like, I'm sorry, I feel bad for you. Like, you broke your back and your leg and you're all jacked up in the hospital. I'm the same way emotionally and psychologically, probably worse. But you can't see it.
You can't see it. And there's also the addiction that I had to him. I was addicted to him.
That's what I meant. Like,
I was codependent.
There's the addiction to the person.
Yeah.
There's addiction to the substance. There's so many different ways that you can kind of connect the title to the story, and so many people will resonate with that, and it gives them a voice. It gives them, like, I went through that, and I can see how for you, as a person who experienced these emotions and these things in your life, finally getting it off of your chest gives you a relief, And
well, I needed to, and I think that is me creating art with the pain that I had inside, and I needed to alchemize that pain into something productive.
That's what an artist does.
I did that through art, creating the film, telling the story, expressing it through my artistic, acting and just fulfilling this particular film. I felt like a weight had lifted off of me when we were done.
Yeah.
We were done filming. I was like,
yeah.
Okay, now I can let go.
Yeah. 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 And there was something you said that you had to, forgive the abuser. And one thing that is very difficult to do as well is to forgive yourself sometimes, because we blame ourselves for a lot of the things that happen to us. And there's this book that I read a long time ago. It's called The Body Bears the Burden. And it talks about how as a child, we develop most of our personality very, very young age. And the thing is that we tend to repeat cycles that we've lived through because of our upbringing. So if there's so many stories of third, fourth, fifth generation welfare recipients, 3, 4, 5 generations of, people that, go to prison and they'll have a father, and, addiction. And then there's the same thing, 3, 4, 5 generation of people that are wealthy and successful because that's what they teach their kids, and sometimes when your upbringing isn't the best and you have no, real guidance, you tend to repeat the same thing that you see, you know? So sometimes you have to forgive yourself for not knowing what to do in certain situations that this is the first time I experienced it. And like, now that you have gone through all the trauma and you hit the rock bottom, like, dang, okay, now I get to understand what happened and learn the lesson so it doesn't repeat. Yeah. And the problem is that most people never learn the lesson. Yeah. What they do is they repeat the same pattern with just a different person, you know, or a different situation or a different job. You'll see people that jump from relationship to relationship doing the same stupid shit. You see people jump from job to job to job, and they always blame the other person. They always blame the position. They always blame the circumstance, and they never take self-accountability. So my first step when I went through that traumatic experience was I took some time to really, really, really sit down and take accountability for myself. And I realized that a lot of the bad stuff that had happened to me was caused because of me. You know, I couldn't blame anyone. Yeah. It's like I had to,
I feel like
take ownership.
We do, everyone is on their own journey, right?
Yeah.
And some people are fortunate enough to come to a place of healing and understanding that you can break the cycle.
Yeah.
But if you're not aware, then you just go on repeating the cycle, repeating the patterns, right?
Right.
And so I came to a point where I became aware that this is a pattern. I became aware that this is toxic. I became aware that I didn't even love myself. I became aware that I was always fighting for love through my relationships, trying to earn love through pleasing my father, pleasing my family, pleasing my mother, pleasing my partners. But the truth was I didn't have the self-love for myself. I didn't know how to love myself. And that was the core of why I was repeating those patterns. So once I came to the realization and became aware that I was lacking love for myself, first and foremost, then I was able to start the healing process, the healing journey, begin to forgive myself, but also be accountable for all of my decisions. Yeah. So everything that happened to me was by my choice. And that's, again, it's a radical responsibility and accountability.
Yeah.
But now I'm able to create a better life for myself, a beautiful life for myself, because I'm making all these decisions knowing that anything that comes to me is because I've created that world for myself. But I needed to love myself first, and I needed to heal. I needed to begin the healing process because it's a journey. It's a long journey and it's never ending. But the core of it was finding that I needed to love myself.
Yeah, it's when you were talking, I just posted this quote like right when you were walking into the building, and it kind of resonated to what you just said about like you're trying to find love through other people. You don't love yourself, and I'm gonna read this quote real quick because I think it'll resonate. So it says, as people continue to look outside of themselves for caring, affection, joy, and love, they fail to recognize that these states of being are created inside of themselves. It is like the wave of the ocean looking around desperately for water. What you seek is and has its seed inside of you. You must begin to recognize this universal truth and start to create the life and living that you truly desire and deserve. Shout out to Arash Dibazar, actually he's from San Jose up north, where you're from, who wrote that quote.
It's an amazing quote. It's beautiful.
And the way I resonated with that and what you were saying is that sometimes we're always looking for external validation, external love, external joy. Like we look for joy in like a drink, or in a woman or a man, or in whatever, your job,
your vices,
you're consuming your time with dopamine rushes. Most people that are, novelty seeking, which is dopamine rush. I gotta do something new. I gotta get the new this. I gotta get the new that. They're never truly fulfilled and happy and joyful. They're temporarily entertained. And that was me for a long time. When I asked her, like, what do you want? I just want to be happy. And I realized it's such a childish thing to say. And, and like that quote says, like, you have the seed within you to create joy. You have the seed in you also to create misery.
The water, you're looking for water, but you are the water.
You are the water.
You're looking for love, but you are love.
We are the creators, and it all starts with your what's in control. And what do I have in control? It's very simple. It's my thought process and my actions. What I do, what I say, what I am, what I be. I can create whatever life I want. I could shave my head right now and dress up like a cholo and start talking like one and create that avatar. But my essence of animal, like, who is animal? Who am I? It's such a crazy question to ask yourself, because you're not your name. You're not your clothing.
All these false identities.
You're not, the job that you have. You're more than that. And once we kind of realize that, then you have true power, So I look at you as a powerful woman because you have lived through life and you have learned these lessons. So like I'm telling you, the purpose of my show is to hear people's hero's journey, which is, the very simple concept of literature, which is a person that is looking to succeed in some task has to go on a journey. And through that journey, you're going to go through some bullshit. You're going to face some dark, roads. You're going to face some dead ends. You're going to have to turn back and figure some shit out. You're going to come across good people. You're going to come across bad people. And through your journey, your job is to evolve. Your job is to find the truth in life and find your own purpose as to why you're here. And it's beautiful that you found your purpose, because now whatever you do is leading you down the path that you chose. And that is what purpose and joy truly is that path.
Yeah. And I'm extremely happy. And it took me a lot of mistakes, a lot of rock bottoms, a lot of experiences. But looking back, I needed those experiences because only through experience do we learn. And sometimes we don't take the lesson the first time, the second time, the third time, but I would hope ultimately we learn the lesson, and that's when you can evolve. But it's all of these life experiences that help us grow as human beings. And for me, I will act without an audience. I'll act, because I just truly love it. And I tell people this all the time. I'm going to act until the day I die. I'm going to be whatever age I pass. I could be 99-year-old woman, and I'm going to be playing a grandmother, great grandmother to somebody, because there's no end to it. There's no end. Like, we're just telling stories of the human condition.
It's such a beautiful position to be in. Like, there's some careers that there's a time limit.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to be an NBA player,
there's
or a football player, you don't see no 50-year-old.
But not with acting. And I tell people that all the time. It's never too late. I had a friend just last weekend ask me, hey, I want to get into acting. But I've always been in this industry, and I want to respect the actors that have been in the industry for a long time. And I'm like, no, you do it. Yeah. Like, there's like, but people say, if you haven't done it, I'm like, no, you can do it anytime. You can do it. You could be 60 years old and start acting. It doesn't matter. You do what your heart is telling you to do,
right? And
don't listen to anyone else. It's your journey.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I was even thinking about it because I started this podcast about a year and a few months ago. I never even owned a camera before then. I didn't know anything about film, about videography, photography, audio engineering, editing. I had absolutely no understanding whatsoever of any of it. I came from like a sales background, and that's what I did. I did sales. But after that toxic relationship that I talked about, it ended in a pretty drastic way, and it left me in a position where I needed to find my life purpose, and it was a catalyst to my evolution as a person, as a human being, as a man. And I realized that, you literally can do whatever you want to do.
Yes.
And if there's something that's in you that's calling you, like, that's like, man, this thing keeps on calling me, like, it keeps on coming back, like, you should do this, like, you should do that. You should sometimes listen to that voice, And also you should listen to the voice that tells you, like, you don't want to do this shit. Like, so it's kind of cool when you're able to do a bunch of different things and come to the realization, I don't want to do that. I hate that. This I love. This brings me joy. This brings me purpose. This brings me, it puts me in that flow state where I'm just lost in this thing, And sometimes it changes, along your journey. Because I remember I wanted to be a rock star when I was like a kid and stuff.
Yeah.
Like all I want to do was play music and just that's what I did.
Nice.
And I'm still a musician. I still play, but I don't do it for a living, but it's still a passion.
You enjoy it.
Yeah, I enjoy it. But along my journey, I came across other things that I also love doing, and I feel as I'm evolving, I'm growing, I'm narrowing down to that one thing, like this is it, and acting has come across my mind because, I'm very comfortable on mic now. I'm comfortable on the camera now. Before a year, I never even been on a camera or anything. And I'm starting to network with a lot of people. And I'm realizing, like, man, this is probably something I could do too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's also what I've learned on my journey. And I think I've been in my deepest healing the past 3 years after my ceremony with my hermanos, Shane and...
Have you only done ayahuasca or have you done anything else?
Just ayahuasca.
Okay.
And therapy, lots of therapy.
Okay. I have a podcast with a psychotherapist.
I've seen it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, Open Mind.
Oh, gosh, she's amazing.
And we've touched on a couple of different topics. We've done anger, depression, anxiety. We just did one on toxic relationships, believe it or not, and narcissistic abuse and the narcissistic abuse cycle. And, I think mental health is a big subject that a lot of people struggle with, especially absolutely. After the pandemic. I think what happened during the pandemic was that it put a pause on people's life and it put a mirror on them and it said, look at all this bullshit that you've been dealing with for the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Yeah. You're going to face it now because that shit relationship you've been having for the last 10 years, well, we're going to lock you two up in a room for...
you have to work it out.
Figure it out.
Figure it out or figure out it's not going to work.
And if you had an addiction, it's probably going to be exacerbated during the pandemic, which it was. People were just drinking like crazy, even though there was no, official clubs and bars open. People, look at the statistics. Alcohol sales were through the roof. Your local drug dealers are probably making it rain with all the money they were making, and it was a very dark time for a lot of people. And
I think a lot of people, like, it was a mass transcendence for a lot of people. Not everyone, but a mass transcendence where everyone had to take time to reflect.
Yes,
they were forced.
You were forced to reflect and to face the trauma that you had been dealing with, and a lot of that trauma was exacerbated. Divorces went through the roof. Violence went through the roof. Just a lot of things that are not good, and through that you have to face reality. You have to come to the realization that you need to change for the better. I also, in that period of time, massive healing, but I also spent a lot of time in solitude. And I spent a good majority of of COVID in solitude. I was by myself in my apartment. Like, other people had their quarantine pods that they were a part of, but I wasn't in them, and I was by myself in my apartment. So I had to face... or a dog?
No.
Dang, alone,
and I had to face my demons.
Yeah.
Like, they appeared, my dragons, right? I had to start slaying the dragons. I had to start looking at the shadows and what is inside of me that I need to reflect on. What do I need to see about myself? Like, self-reflection was in like full force during that solitude, and I spent so much time alone. But I needed it.
What came out?
That was when I realized that every relationship I've been in, even every career, every job I've ever had. Yeah. The reason why I'm successful in sales, the reason why I'm successful as a leader is because I'm serving others and I'm looking for the approval. Yeah. And the words of affirmation. Yeah. Great job, Sonia. Great job. You did great. Sales are great. Da-da-da, da-da. You did great. You shifted the team. You're a great leader. All of that was false love. Yes. And it was how I was feeding my ego of, oh, I'm loved. They love me. They love me at work. They love me. I'm doing great at work. I'm getting, for my dad, getting straight A's. All of these things were for all this approval from external people and factors that all I needed to do, and the massive thing that I found in the solitude was that I needed to love myself. I didn't need anyone else's affirmation or words of affirmation, or like, I just needed to look inward and love myself. The little Sonia, the little girl I needed to love her. I needed to love the girl that made mistakes, the one that was in the relationship for so many years and didn't leave. Like, I needed to love her, forgive her, and just begin a relationship with myself. So COVID helped me in the solitude that I was in face my demons, face my darkness, face accountability. I'm accountable for everything that happened to me.
Yeah.
I'm accountable for all of it. Why? Because I was seeking love outside of myself when I needed to look inward. And that's the biggest lesson I walked away with.
Yeah, that's a beautiful lesson. And, it takes people some time to realize that, and some people never learn, and it's unfortunate because a lot of people go to the grave never truly loving themselves. It's very sad, actually. And it's funny you mentioned that about how you were successful in sales, because like I mentioned, I've been in sales for 20 years now, and I've been in management positions where I train, develop other salespeople, and for what you could tell, certain people, they get super competitive, and they love those awards, they love the praise, and you could get them fired up by telling, like, man, I guess you don't like winning, man, I guess. And these are kind of like, I hate to say, but they're kind of like psychological manipulation towards people. And some people are easily manipulated through receiving accolades and receiving praise and receiving, to the point where they'll lie, cheat, steal, do whatever it takes to succeed, to get that recognition, because like you said, they probably don't love themselves. And I tell people, like, it's the same thing, praise or the opposite of it, someone hating on you. You can't be affected so much by either one if you want to be in control of your life, because then you're just chasing
anything personal.
Someone tells you, like, you suck, you're like, oh, I suck, I'm not good. They just affected your psychology and your emotional state.
Or they try to.
You
have to control whether you allow
now
them
the opposite.
To or not. Yeah.
Great job. Like, they just affected your psychological state. But once you have a true control of your mindset, of your emotions, then you're a very, very powerful person. It doesn't matter if you say congratulations or you suck. I'm on my freaking purpose. I'm doing this regardless of your hooray or of you suck. It doesn't really matter. Like you said, I'm going to act regardless. I'm going to keep writing music regardless. I'm going to keep pursuing this career regardless of your praise or your hate on it, because this is my choice. And I love the United States because you get freedom of choice of doing whatever you want to do, and you have freedom of speech to speak your mind on your viewpoints and your beliefs. And if people don't agree, you get to vote on it, and you live in a democracy where you have, for the most part, freedom. And I think once people realize that, love yourself, find what you want to do, pursue it, and don't care about, people's praises or hate, then you're going to truly find true peace and purpose in your life. And you're not going to be chasing these little dopamine rushes all the time. It's difficult. It's very difficult.
You got to get to a point where, and it's hard. It's not easy. Like this is, I still
get excited when people tell me you're doing great.
But you got to get to a point where you create your own happiness. You decide to be happy. Yeah. And if you have that love inside for yourself, then you're going to be unperturbed by anyone else's opinion of you, whether it's positive or negative, because you are already whole and you love yourself. Yeah. And you know that you're walking with love, and you're seeing the world with love, and you're approaching your work and your creativity with love. And if you can do that, then if somebody cuts you off, if somebody's rude to you, it's not going to bother you, because it doesn't bother me. I'm just like, I'll pray for them because they're having a bad day.
I wish I was like that. I'm a maniac.
But that's how I see it now. Yeah. But it took me loving myself to get to that point where, people are rude or mean, or even somebody that does something bad to me. Yeah. I don't take it personal, because it's a reflection of them and what storms that are going on in their life. It has nothing to do with me. They're just outletting it. Like, it's just an outlet. And so, again, I wish them love. I wish them peace, harmony, happiness, and joy. But I know it's not about me. So everyone has a choice. It's to walk with love. And if you can walk with love, then whatever happens around you, it's not about you, it's about them. And you can just wish them well. And then great things start to happen. And once I was in full love for myself, and like, if nothing anyone does is about me, it's about them, I felt like my life changed, and everything I've ever wanted started to come true. Everything I've ever dreamed of started to happen, like, rapidly.
Yeah.
Rapidly. Anything I envisioned for myself that was positive and good started happening. And so I'm extremely happy now, because I chose to be happy, but I also chose to heal, and I'm on the healing journey. It's never ending. But the most important lesson is that I have love for myself, and I don't need it elsewhere. I'm not seeking it elsewhere, because I've forgiven myself, and I love myself, and I know that I'm walking in love, and I am love.
I just got the title for today's episode, it's Loving Yourself with Sonia Balcazar.
Yes.
That's beautiful. So what is to come for Sonia as far as your acting career? And I know you found your purpose, which is telling these stories. Are you working on any new films? Are you going to be working more on the directing side and the producing side, or do you want to stick on acting? What's in your future? What do you see?
Well, I feel with Addicted to You was a film that I executive produced with my mom. She's also executive producer on this with me. Yes.
Okay, I was going to ask you, like, who's Estefana? She
That's
has
my
your
mom.
back name.
Yeah.
Last name, sorry.
Yeah, it's my mom.
That's awesome.
And so I put her on there as well, because it's her story too. You know, she went through it with, even when she watched the trailer before she watched the film.
Where can people watch the film, by the way? Is it just
it's in the film festival circuit now. So
when is it going to be?
Follow the page, the Addicted to You film page on Instagram.
I really want people to watch this film.
Yes.
And give some feedback as far as what came out of it for them. I think this is those type of films where you can have a lot of dialogue with people after they watch it. There's some movies that you go and just shut your brain off. You're like, this is one of those where you're like in it. And I want to give
people talk about it.
I want to give a huge shout out to Jeff Reyes, Echo, because the cinematography is so beautiful. Amazing. Where when you have that level of art and cinematography, what it does to the human is that it puts you in the film. Mm-hmm. Like I don't
there.
Like you don't feel like you're watching a movie. You feel like you're watching a person's life. And like, I mean, I've watched it on my phone, which is like a tiny little screen like this. And even this sucked me in. You know, when you go into the theaters, like you really get sucked in, because you got the surround sound, you know, you're everything's dark except for the film. So you feel more like you're in it. But even on my phone, I was sucked into the story. And, you know, I think this is one of those films that he did a great job at the at the cinematography. And of course, he won awards for it. The team was amazing.
Chris Leva, director. LV. He was incredible. Yeah. And
he told me how he pulled out some stuff from you.
Oh my God. I heard it. I watched this podcast.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, but you know what? He was extremely passionate about getting us in that storm, in the feeling, in the like visceralness of what was happening. And he raised the stakes. And even the cut that you see on the final cut, that one was one of those extras, because he just like kind of nudged Anthony L. Fernandez to do something a little different and surprise me. So that wasn't the original. That wasn't what we rehearsed. Yeah. It wasn't the original like takes that we had. It was one of those surprise takes, and that's the one that we ended up using. Yes. It was so high stakes, high drama. Yeah. But yeah, shout out to Chris L.V. Leva for directing the film, and then Jeff
amazing
Reyes
job,
for
gentlemen.
Beautiful cinematography, and he won Best Cinematography.
Yeah, and I know Chris was also nominated for Best Director for the Cannes World Film Festival. Yes. I know Jeff won the illustrious award. Did he also win the Cannes, or was it just the? Okay, he won the Mexican American
Film and TV
Festival illustrious award for best cinematographer. So you guys did an amazing job, and I can see that whole team.
And that was in the premiere. I mean, we had 3 wins within the first week of the premiere.
Wow, that's
amazing. Insane.
Yeah,
3 wins and 2 nominations, 2 additional nominations.
Wow.
It was incredible.
Yeah,
the first week.
That's amazing. I can see you guys doing a lot more together.
Yes.
You know, I think that whole team is amazing.
Everyone's artistic, like their respective artistic contribution.
Yeah.
Everyone brought their own contribution to it. You know, everyone on the team, like the entire cast and crew, everyone, they were just giving of their passion, right? And Jesse Borrego, who
that's right.
Oh gosh, his just beautiful performance, and
did an amazing
played
job.
My father, and he graced us with his presence on the film, and it was just a beautiful blessing to have him be there and develop that relationship and continue to be a part of my life now, and just be an inspiration to me too. But never in my life did I think, when I was a child, when I was younger, watching.
Used to see him on the TV.
Yes, or like he was in Blood and Blood Out and Fame. Like, did I ever think that he would play my father in my film?
Does he look like your dad?
No, but he looks like my grandfather on my mom's side. Yeah,
that's cool.
There's a photo of us that I have on my Instagram where we're both looking at each other profile, and we have like the same profile. Yeah, like nose and chin. And it's interesting how we have similar
features.
Profiles. Yes. Yeah. So like, he looks like my grandfather, so he can play my father.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So for your future, what do you see happening? Yeah. Are you focusing more on just straight acting, or do you want to be more?
Acting's my primary passion, my primary art, but I'm also going to be directing my first film.
Congratulations.
And so thank you. And not my, I mean, I've directed before. Like I said, I was directing in college, and I direct on my day job too.
There you go. This is your official debut as a director for is it going to be a feature film or a short film?
It's going to be a short film.
Short film, okay.
Yeah, and we're in the pre-production period right now.
Yeah, you're kind of giving me an idea of what the concept is. Like, that's a very interesting, cerebral film, and I'm excited to see it when it comes out, you know.
And I want to give a shout out to Manny Jimenez Sr. because he's one of my mentors. And he's been nudging me to direct a film for about a year and a half. And I worked with him coaching one of the actors on, or his lead actor for Suspect Entertainment. Yeah. And just coaching and working and rehearsing with Frankie. He was like, you're a director. You behave like a director. You talk like a director. You're a director. And I'm like, I'm an actor. He's like, no, you're a director. And I'm like, well, okay. But he's just been mentoring me for the over a year now, sharing information, sending me master classes to watch, articles to read, books to read. Just he's really he more than planted the seed. He's been watering the seed, and he's just been nurturing me and really pushing me to elevate, right? Mm. And so, he just kept on me, and he just asked the question when I was cast in this film. He said, "Why don't you direct it?" Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, because I'm acting in it. Yeah. And he's like, no, you could direct it. Yeah. And so I was like, wow, I didn't think about that. Yeah. And so then, worked through that process and talked to the producers and the producer and pitched him. Yeah. And got the position. Here we go. Here we are.
That's awesome.
We're going. So I'm excited. I'm really excited.
It's interesting that, these mentor figures that come into your life, what they have is a eye for raw talent, like a raw diamond. When you see a raw diamond, it looks like a piece of rock. Doesn't look like anything expensive, anything nice. It takes someone that knows the value that it has and the potential that it has to dig that rock out, clean it up, refine it, and make it into a multi-million-dollar diamond, And I was just watching I was actually funny because I can't remember. I think it was on Hulu. They have this docu-series on Mike Tyson. Mm-hmm. I wasn't happy with the roles that they picked. I don't think
who they cast?
Yeah, the casting. Okay. But the story is still amazing because I love Mike Tyson. I love his story. And, he had a mentor in his life, which was Cus D'Amato, his coach, that pretty much adopted him, took him out of the prisons and brought him into his house and made him a champ, but from the first time he saw him and he saw that raw potential that Mike Tyson had. And whenever you see these mentor figures, what they have is that ability to see that raw talent. They're like, there's something there that I need to develop. And when you see these very successful people, even in their infancy, you can see that raw talent. Like I'll listen to musicians that I love, and I'll hear them like 20 years ago when they were first playing the instrument. And there's a little bit of that spark. Even then, you're like, oh, I can hear he uses that now in his new music. And like actors, when you see them when they're super young, they're very, raw and they're green. There's still something there. There's like a charisma or something. Like I love Jim Carrey, and even when he's a little kid, like the faces that he makes and his personality and everything is like he had that raw talent. So anyone that could see him like before, like this guy's is going to go somewhere. He's got something. And the mentor, the wise wizard, the oracle is a person that has the ability to see that, and the beautiful thing is that once, like you mentioned, you go through this cycle, your hero's journey, multiple times throughout your life.
I have.
And you start to develop so much wisdom. Like I told you, I'm nowhere near my full potential. I just started this journey. I feel like this last, rock bottom was a big catalyst, but I've been through many rock bottoms and I've learned a lot of lessons along the way. And I'm sure I'm going to evolve even more. Yes. But I have a lot of wisdom and insight. The difference between, knowledge and insight is you can get knowledge from a book, but insight you can only get through experience, through living it. Doing it, you feel it.
The knowledge is no good unless you know how to apply it.
Exactly.
Right? And the experience gives you the opportunity to do that. What I do in my day job, I'm a director, and I have a large team. And the team, and I've been a leader since I was 16. So I've always had some type of leadership position, supervisor, team lead, manager, director, whatever it may be. But I was a terrible manager in the beginning. I was terrible because I didn't know how to lead and manage people. But through my experiences, through my mistakes, was I able to become a better leader. And now what I tell the people that I lead, and everyone knows this, the people that I lead, I tell them, I'm going to share my knowledge with you. I'm going to share my experiences with you. And I'm going to train you to replace me because I want you to replace me one day. I want you to be in my shoes one day. I want you to be the director of this department one day. So I'm going to give you everything that I know, all the experiences that I have. I'm not going to hoard any of that knowledge so that I can keep this position. It only means that if I train you so that you can replace me, that I'm going to elevate. And that's the mindset that I now come to learn through being a terrible manager, making mistakes and learning from those mistakes and knowing I can become a better person and a better human. And through all of that experience, right? Because I had the schooling, I went to school for management, but I didn't have the experience. So through the experience did I learn that you have to apply the knowledge, learn, make mistakes, and not be afraid to fail. And then you can get to the point where now I'm not afraid. I can give knowledge to anybody and I'll tell everybody how I do my job. Because if I give that to you, then I'm just going to elevate. It may be with a different company. It may be in a different way, but I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to give you my experiences. And I'm going to share everything with you because that's what it's for. It's to give and share your experiences and your knowledge so they don't make the same mistakes as well. But I also tell them, don't be afraid to make mistakes. This is your sandbox. Don't feel shame or guilt. If you make a mistake, just be accountable for it and you fix it. That's it. But let's be okay with failure. Let's be okay with making a mistake. And we just got to make it right. That's it. But my team, it's funny because my team is we're on the front line. So we get the most, we get attacked the most from negativity from clients or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But all the good stuff too. However, we're on the front line. So the small percentage of complaints that would come into us. So we have to manage that, right?
Yeah.
So we're hit hard on a daily basis with a lot of problem solving, but things that we have to uncover and discover. Now, going through that, it's difficult. Like a lot of my team, they go through a lot. However, we're the happiest department in the entire company. Why? Because they're supported and they know I support them. They know I have their back. They know everyone on the team has their back, and I only hire people that have that same mindset and have the same set of values, which is I am not going to talk behind your back. I'm not going to throw you under the bus. I'm not going to hoard knowledge. I'm going to give you knowledge. I'm going to give you support. And the whole team does that. And so I've nurtured that environment over the years, and everyone's happy to be there. They want to come back. They want to continue to work on the team because they feel like supported and they feel valued. And it's okay to make mistakes, and we're not going to be upset. We're just going to make it right, and we're going to learn from it.
Yeah. What I was getting to was as you go through this cycle over and over again, eventually you become the mentor, you become the wizard, you become the oracle. You become that person that can see the raw talent and can see essentially yourself in other people, and you want to develop them. And, because no matter what you do, at one point, if you're trying to scale it and make it something that you want to share to the world, you need other people. You need a team, and there's a huge difference between leadership and management. Mm-hmm. It's not the same thing. Sometimes people get it confused. They think, managing is leading. It's not, it's two completely different monsters, and you have to have certain skills for both, but leadership comes in many different ways. When I first got into sales, I was like super into like reading all the material on sales strategy and leadership and all this. So I've read so many books and been to so many seminars and done all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And there's leadership that's based on your position, or like you're the manager. So if I'm an employee, I have to listen to you. Mm-hmm. That's different than I want to listen to you. Yeah. It's a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. Do I want to follow you, or do I have to follow you?
Exactly. So these are skills that it sounds like you've refined and you've developed over the years that have led to your success and what you're doing now. And I'm really excited to see your future, what's to come, both in your acting and your directing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, I want to really thank you, for your time to coming on. Is there any final message that you want to share to the audience as far as, someone that maybe looks up to you and wants to be a successful actress or wants to get into the entertainment industry or develop these skills that you have, or maybe even just on a relationship base, that maybe they're in one of those toxic, addicted relationships where they need some guidance? What would you like to share?
I think for the acting side of it, or the entertainment career, acting, directing, whatever it may be, or any career at that, you can want to be anything in your life. What I want to share is that personally, it took me a long time to believe in myself. And it took me a long time to believe that I was worthy of all of my dreams. And so because I wasn't in the mindset where I was worthy, I wasn't going to receive those blessings.
Yeah.
So once my mindset shifted to, I deserve this, I deserve anything that my heart desires, and I'm worthy of those things, then the blessings started to come in abundance. And we're limitless, but it takes us a long time to get to the point where we understand that and we're aware that we're limitless. And as long as we believe that we're worthy of those things, it will come. You have to take action towards it, but it will come. So earlier in my career, and I've been through the ups and downs and the rock bottoms of even in my acting career, there were times where I was doing really well, but then I didn't believe that I was worthy of something greater. And so those things didn't come. But not until I got to the point where now, after COVID and after solitude and after reflection and learning that I am worthy of my dreams, I'm worthy of my own love, I'm worthy of self-love and loving myself, did those blessings come in abundance. And I understood that I am limitless. So my advice would be sharing my knowledge, sharing my experiences. You are limitless. Believe in yourself and believe that you're worthy of whatever your heart desires. You're worthy of it, and work towards it. Create action towards what you want, and it'll come.
That's beautiful. Well, Sonia, I think there's no better way to end it than that way. I think you said it all. Again, I want to thank you for your time today, your insight, your wisdom. Where can people find you? Guys, make sure to follow Sonia Balcazar. I checked out your IMDb. What is your Instagram handle?
Sonia Balcazar, Sonia.
That's it?
Balcazar.
The only one.
Yep.
You won't find another one.
Yep, that's me.
Do you have a website?
I do, but it's down right now, but it's just my name, Sonia Balcazar.
Okay, awesome. Guys, make sure to check out Sonia Balcazar. Another huge shout out to Chicano Hollywood, to Jeff
Johnny.
Reyes, to LV, The Vision, Chris Leva. You guys are all doing an amazing job.
David Montanales, the writer.
David Montanales, what's the name of the production team for?
Four Ways Entertainment.
Four Ways Entertainment.
And Cinema Killers.
Cinema Killers. Man, it's such a huge team. Shout out to everyone that was part of the production and the creation of Addicted to You. You guys all deserve an award in my eyes. Yeah. And I'm super excited.
Follow Addicted to You film on Instagram.
Yes. I just tagged them. I'm going to go ahead and tag all of you guys on the full video on YouTube and also all the clips that we're going to be putting out for this episode. And make sure you guys subscribe to the Dreams to Reality podcast. And we'll see you guys next time.